Hey, come on in, come on in. Good morning, good morning, good morning. So I said it for this time to give people till about 30 minutes after the hour to be here so we can really get started. If you are streaming here on TikTok and you have to jump off your phone for any reason, you can stream this live on YouTube, Pretty Petty Politics on YouTube. On Pretty Petty Politics, you will find all the recordings of our live classes. Today is the first day of class. And so come on in, come on in, come on in. All right. So we'll just give it a few minutes. Y'all go ahead, like, share, gift. But share, please. Good morning, Sulani. Did I say that right? Did I pronounce it right? Thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube page because that's going to be important to move that along in the algorithm as well.
Ice Mama.
Move that along in the algorithm as well so that people can access it who don't know about it, similar to how I come across your FYP. So good morning. Yes, hopefully, Wilbert, not right now, baby. It's the first day. Give me a minute. But hopefully, if this is your first time in here, that my mom is texting me. If this is your first time on this page, this is the first day of class for U.S. government. So please make sure you're following, make sure you like, make sure you share. Go back and watch the other videos that are on my page. But this page is not solely committed to U.S. government. Let me be clear. I am a person. I have a life, and I have other thoughts and ideas and opinions, but primarily this space will be used to provide information on U.S. government. I am a U.S. government professor. This is what I do full time. Outside of my career, I advocate in the community. I love this stuff. Let me just say that. I can't even say it. Yep, I'm live on YouTube stage. All right. So you can watch the recording. So yeah, I do this. I've had Pretty Petty Politics. That was my podcast. I never got rid of the YouTube page, which was great. So it allowed me to circle back. I did not utilize the YouTube page. Surprisingly, I'm able to utilize it for this purpose. So that is great. Okay. So class will always be announced, CC, but generally I will shoot for Thursdays at 10:30 simply because I am not at work at that time. And so 10:30 Eastern time. So 10:20 for a 10:30 start. But if I have a work commitment like a meeting or a program, I will let you know and we will pivot. But yes, we have the YouTube page. All right. All right. All right. How often is class? Oh my God. No, you're not late. Child, listen. Your acceptance letter is you being here. We not playing all them games. Y'all trying to work us. We not making, ID cards. Them people who ain't teaching. ID cards, acceptance letters, all of that, scholarships. Baby, y'all play too much. What I'm going to give you is for your dome. For your dome. If you have not registered, it's not required. But if you want to register for this course, if you go to my YouTube page or my Instagram page, _the pretty professor on Instagram, you will find a form, a Google form. If you register, then I will later send you the resources for the class. If you previously registered, you already received that email. Unless you registered and you did not include your email. I had like 5 people do that. They registered and they didn't include their email. I'm like, what you registering for then? That's the whole purpose. So make sure that you get that. If you're on the YouTube, you know that you can register under the description. That same form is there. All right. Okay, so we got about 4 more minutes and we're going to really start. David, so you need to go back in and do it again and include your email. That way you can get my email, and that will come from Pretty Petty Politics when you get my email. All right, that's the brand. That's been the brand since August of 2018. This is what I'm committed. Yes, Curvy Goddess. I got my 5-subject notebook and I'm ready to go. I'm so excited. Y'all have no idea of how excited I am. All right. So I'm gonna share this with my family, people who I have relationships with, my family, so that others that I love and care about can be a part of this stream. So once again, welcome to the Global Classroom. Thank you to Dr. Barlow, who is an African American Studies professor. I think she may be in the Philly area. I'm pretty sure she's on the East Coast. But nevertheless, shout out to her. She was utilizing TikTok for her actual class, and it went viral because people thought she was telling them on the FYP here on TikTok to that she was going to teach. And so it inspired other academics to do the same. And then we realized, oh, she was talking to her actual students who she gets a salary for, who are at her actual physical university. But many of us, as well as Dr. Barlow, are committed to providing instruction and information to the masses. So this was birthed on TikTok, but it is transcending all platforms. So again, if for any reason you are on TikTok and you have to leave TikTok, or something happens to that, you can always catch this on YouTube. Generally, this will go 10:30 Eastern time, 9:30 Central time on Thursdays is when we'll have class, quote unquote, actual class and a lecture. 10:20 I'll start, 10:20 I'll start the live, 10:30 I'm gonna start the lecture. So I give y'all a few minutes in the virtual hallways. All right, so I see I got some comments on YouTube, so I'm just going to change my platform. Good morning, Gilda. Good morning, Jennifer. Good morning, good morning, good morning. You have to bear with me because I'm not switching, but I am on 2 devices. And so it is challenging to manage. And on my YouTube, I use banners. So if you ever catch the YouTube, it will appear different from the TikTok page. This is Government Felicity. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is the first day. This course will go through May, the week of 15th. I think it's the 3rd Friday in May. So through that Thursday, that's how long this class will go. So it's basically a 16-week course. Spring break, my actual spring break, I am considering doing a mini course, which is super accelerated. But I have to think about it because, as you see on my shirt, rest, that's my brand. I'll talk to y'all about that later. But rest is important to me. And yes, that's 1 Kings 19. Yes. But rest is important. So I would probably utilize my spring break for rest, but we'll see. Let's see. It is now time. Class is beginning. So welcome to government. We will be discussing federal government each and every Thursday unless notified otherwise. You can find this course on TikTok and on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, you can find it through Pretty Petty Politics. Of course, if you're on TikTok, it's the Pretty Professor. All right. Pretty Petty Politics was founded by me in 2018. This is my brand. This is my platform. This is what I do outside of my career. It's my passion. It has always been my passion. I had to get real with myself about that. Being an advocate, fighting for justice. I describe myself with the word, the first letter of my name, J, judicious. So this is what I do. I'm happy to be here. Please make sure you're subscribing on the YouTube page, like, share, follow on all platforms. For Instagram, it's _ the pretty professor. If you're on YouTube, you see a lot of that information scrolling across the bottom of the page. So let's go ahead and get started. So as we prepare for our global classroom, the only requirements are have a notebook and a pen. We do not take notes by typing. We write them down because we commit them better. I know that sounds antiquated, but trust me, I know from my own education, the last degree was 14 years ago. When I used to type my notes in law school, it did not stick. But baby, when I put that pen to paper, it was a whole nother situation. And I finished number 2 in my class. So I think I know what I'm talking about. And that wasn't my first time in law school. The first time I curved out, meaning I failed and I was put out after my first year, which is common at some schools. So let me just be real with you. But I went back to law school and finished topping my class. No, you're not late. Come on in, Callie. And I'm sharing this with you all to encourage you not to brag or boast, but to encourage you to never give up on the things that are important to you, but also as a good study method, especially if you're not somebody who's going to go back and study. You are committing it because you're listening to it, you're writing it down, and you're seeing it. But it's almost like there's a glue to your brain when you write something down. It becomes real. It just does, and it sticks to you better. So a notebook. Another thing, our textbook for this course is the U.S. Constitution. You know, that's it. If you, if you want other resources, make sure you register for the class. If you're streaming on YouTube, under the description, there's a Google form. If you're streaming on TikTok, there is a, just go to my Instagram. Go to my Instagram _ the pretty professor. Even if you don't have an Instagram account, you can go to my page and see the link. So don't say you don't have a Meta account anymore. Just go to the page on your search engine, go to Instagram _ the pretty professor, click the link. There's the Google form. Register for the class through the Google form, and then I will send you an email with all the course resources. If additional resources come up, I will use another email to send those out. If you registered prior to 10 a.m. this morning, you've already received the email. If you've registered since then, you'll receive that same email a bit later. Okay, so when you register, just give me about 72 hours to respond because I do have a life, but I do want to provide things to you. So I'm going to tell you once again this same information a couple of times throughout because this is a live stream, and so I want people to catch it. Good morning, everyone on YouTube. Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, so we have preparing for our global classroom. So make sure you register using the Google form. That way you get all the resources. You get to stay up abreast. Have a notebook and pen. And the third thing is to like, follow, share. I need that. I do. And I need you to subscribe. I think subscriptions should be starting on TikTok soon. Subscriptions are live on YouTube. So please subscribe. That helps me. I know I've heard that some people are charging for this. I can earn by you doing those things, by liking, following, sharing, subscribing, participating. But those shares, that gets me going. That gets me in the algorithm on the app. So make sure you're doing those things. All right. So, um, give me 1 second. I'm just closing some stuff. All right. So we got our classroom done. So today we're going to start with the founding. So we know that the founding, or we should know that the founding of this country is quite complicated. Right now, I'm in Virginia. I am in an area where everything, like every county, was founded in the 1600s. I made a U-turn in York County, Virginia yesterday. And I think it's like founded 1630 something. So I want you to, and it was so rich to me to know that what I do for a living and knowing where I was coming, but to see it, it's like, yeah, this is purposeful. So, the earliest parts of the country, though, we're not talking about the 1600s. 1600s was not the United States. Get that through your head right now. The 1600s was not the United States. The United States began in the late 1700s. Okay, and we're going to talk about that. But prior to the United States coming to be, there were people here. All right, those people were natives and others who traveled globally, including his name will come to me, but he was from Mali. Um, Mansa Musa's brother. I can't think of his name right now, though. It starts with the A. Um, but anyway, there were others who had explored and brought people with them, traveling and trade. Trade is nothing new, right? We know that historically trade is nothing new. Historically, if you look at the Bible as a history book, you know that trade is nothing new. People travel to various parts of the world by boats, by ships, okay? And so people traded. So people were here, and then something took place primarily in Great Britain. Now, you may hear me say in England, you may hear me say Great Britain, you may hear me say the UK. They're all the same thing. All right, they're all the same thing. But something happened there where the church, right, the Church of England, yes, I use my hands, the Church of England um, was giving out these instructions, these rules, and there were some people who didn't want to obey. So that was one group. Then you had the poor, you had the diseased, the sickly, you had these people who, for lack of better terms, were rejects that the government could do without, right? The government could be like, just push them aside, right? And so many of those people were put on ships such as the Mayflower, and they were brought here to settle in colonies. Okay, now what other European countries had colonies throughout the Americas? Okay, the Americas include North America, South America, the Caribbean islands, right? North America consists of Canada, the today the United States, Mexico, and a slew of other nations that are at the bottom of that peninsula. So that includes like Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador. You see where I'm going with that? Nicaragua, Panama, all these other countries. Those are a part of North America. Now, I know in language, we often use the term Central America. Central America is not a continent. So those countries are part of North America. That's going to be important later in our lessons, okay? Later, not today, but later. Um, then you have those islands throughout the Caribbean. Now, you can tell who colonized those islands by the languages spoken on those islands today, the primary languages. So, Jamaica, who colonized Jamaica? What language do they speak in Jamaica primarily? Haiti, right? Who colonized Haiti? We definitely gonna talk about that because baby, Haiti holds a special place in my heart. So y'all tell me who colonized Jamaica? Who colonized Jamaica? Who colonized Haiti? Who colonized Brazil? who colonized Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, the ABC Islands, who colonized there, who colonized um, Nicaragua. All right. You see where I'm going? So you can see the, how can I put, you can see the colonization, the history of it through the language spoken today. Now, most, if not all of these, are now independent of those countries that colonized them, right? But it's important to recognize the legacy of colonization. So if you think all those places are colonized, then you will recognize that where we are, it's colonized too. All right. So Alexa on YouTube says the Spanish were in Jamaica and the European Spanish. Let me, Alexa, you're correct, but I want to be clear. Spain is a European country. All right. Spain is a European country. It's not separate from Europe. Spain and Portugal were very aggressive in colonization, very aggressive. Okay. Very. And then they pulled back. Okay. But that's not what we're here for today. But I just wanted to include that. So let's get back to the colonization of what was colonized here, what is today the United States. So the British were successful in being the dominant, the more dominant of the colonists, those who colonized. Were the British. And so we have these colonies, 13 of them, right? And so now maybe I'll go back and really dig into that and like talk about Boston Tea Party and all of that. And yeah, let's talk about it. So there were revolutions, there were revolts, okay? There were revolts against the motherland, so to speak, because the people in the colonies did not feel like they had a voice, that they were being treated right, that it was fairness in how they were taxed. Okay, so they had revolts. There was the Boston Massacre as well as the Boston Tea Party. And the participants weren't all just people from Great Britain or people who were descendants of Great Britain. They included natives and Black people. As you study and you dig in more, you'll discover that. But what I want to dig into right now and really get us into today's discussion is independence. So the colonies joined together and fought for independence from Britain, and they were successful. Then you get the Declaration of Independence. Okay, you get the Declaration of Independence, and they, they have their first constitution, the Articles of Confederation. All right. But the Articles of Confederation, they needed some tweaking, a lot of tweaking. So what happened is prior to people leaving to go fight in the war, to fight for independence, they were told, these people who were going to fight, they were told like, hey, when you come back, your land, your farm, it'll be here. Don't worry about it. It'll be here free, ready for you to take back, but just go win this war. And so when they came back and they had those things on them, right? They were armed because they had just fought in a war. And when they came back, they learned that their properties had liens on them. Now, I'm not talking about like a gangster lien. I'm talking about an LIEN, like a boot on your car downtown Houston or downtown, name a city, right? Birmingham, Atlanta, New York, right? DC. Many of us have had a boot on our car or know what a boot looks like. So imagine a boot on your property. So there was a lien on their property, basically telling them, hey, you have to pay these fees, these fines to us. You have to pay these fines to us, meaning their governing body, or you're going to lose your property. And so one of the farmers, and he like encouraged others, but his name is the most well known. He was like, hell no. And his name was Daniel Shay, right? Daniel Shay was like, the devil is a lie. You're going to give me my property. So Daniel Shay and other farmers, they grabbed their guns, and they're in Massachusetts, by the way. They grabbed their guns, and they head to the governor's mansion. They're like, we can show you better, we could tell you, right? And what that did was it exploited it exposed the Articles of Confederation. It exposed the fact that um that the government was not prepared, right? So as this militia, this group of farmers, like if you read this in a textbook, they're going to refer to Daniel Shay and the homies as farmers, but they had pretty much created their own militia, their own private army. So they rose up and they were headed to the governor's house, and the governor's in a panic. And the governor's like, yo, I need help. So he's reaching out to wealthy people throughout Massachusetts for help. So the wealthy hires their own private militia. And that's how it was realized, like, yo, we ain't prepared at all. I'm speaking as government, particularly Massachusetts, right? But the other colonies or other states were like, oh, if that happened there, that can happen here. We were not prepared for thinking that we needed our own defense, our own army in our own little places, like we had an army to go fight for our independence. Like, so just think, basically what we call our, like, your guard, your what state you live in, they have a guard. So like the Texas National Guard or the Florida National Guard or Virginia, like what we have today, that's what they were missing then, because the governor didn't have nobody to call up to throw them blows with, Daniel Shay them, right? And so not going deep into that Declaration of Independence equal, no, they're not the same. They're two different things. And I'm going to do Q&A shortly, but let me get through this part of the lesson. So because of Daniel Shay and that revolt, he had gone to fight for this country, and we hear this from veterans all the time. They go fight for this nation, and then they come back home and they are mistreated. We've heard that war after war after war after war after war. So I want you to know that this has a historical significance. This is not anything new. This has been going on since the earliest formation of our nation, where veterans are like, I just fought for you. What is this? Okay. And so because of what Daniel Shay and the homies did, leaders from, I think it was 5 states. I have it in my notes. Hold on. From Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and Virginia. So delegates, leaders from those 5 places came together, right? And they came together in Maryland, in Annapolis, Maryland. Annapolis, 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 Maryland. Now, you've probably heard of that, Annapolis, Maryland, because Annapolis is used militarily. If you watch any like shows, like dramas that are based on government, like the White House or FBI, like if you watch like NCIS or those FBI series that I think come on Paramount, CBS, if you watch Madam Secretary, those type of shows or films like that, so like Olympus Has Fallen, you'll hear references to Annapolis. Okay. So let's keep going. Yes, there are training facilities there. So they go there. So that's why that place is so relevant today, is because it was relevant in the earliest formation of the nation. So they go there, for those delegates from those 5 states. They go there because they need to take care of some business. One, they needed to work on trade. Trade is always on the to-do list. Okay, trade is always on the to-do list. The second big thing was, they needed to address the Articles of Confederation. The Articles of Confederation were raggedy, and Daniel Shay had proven that. So they needed to work on that, and they needed to work on how they would trade between states. So that relationship. So we will talk about that. All these things that they discuss later will become part of what we have today as the U.S. Constitution. So like that trade and how they interact between states, that's Article 4. Okay. What Daniel Shay exposed, we'll see that play out through our military. Okay. But they called for a convention, right? And now we're getting into it. They called for a convention to address the Articles of Confederation. And that convention was held in 1787. So they meet in Annapolis in 1786. Yeah, I got my own notebook. All right. So they meet in 1786. They convened. They decided that they needed to have a constitutional convention. So they choose Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in 1787. Now, let's pause here. Philadelphia and New York both served at different times as our nation's capital historically. So that's just a little FYI for you. So they go to Philadelphia and they are trying to create this new document because the old one just won't do. And it's hard because they fighting. You got people with different interests. You have these huge states. And when I say huge, I mean territorially, but I also mean by population. And then you had these smaller states. Some of them were dense in population, but the size was small. And then you had some that were just small, right? But you have these 13 colonies, and y'all write down in your notes 13 colonies. What are the 13 colonies? And then you go and you fill that in. Okay. But hold on. But they needed to organize. They needed a structure. They needed a document that organized government, and they wanted to address it by different bodies. Okay, by different bodies. And so one of the first things they did was they addressed how they would legislate. And it was important that they had a federal or national governance, right? The Articles of Confederation really did not provide that to them. They had delegates in their states, but they didn't have a national body, right? And so what they did was they began to construct what we know now as Article 1, Article 1 of the Constitution. And that's where we're going to begin today. And Article 1 is our federal/national. So if you write notes, put federal/national legislature. And if you don't know how to spell legislature, just put LEG period. But it's LEGISLATURE. And then that's our Congress. All right. So let's get into it. All right. Any questions? I'll take like 3 questions. All right. Y'all need me to turn up my volume. I can do that. I can take about 3 questions right quick. Going once, going twice, 3 times. Federal, national. Federal/national legislature. So a federal/national legislature, right? And that's what we call Congress today. And I'm about to get into that. All right. Any questions on YouTube? All right. Thank you, Jazz, for putting that in the comments up there on TikTok. All right. All right. So we can move on. So Article 1, what was that? That's our question. Article 1 was the first version. No, Articles of Confederation. Yes. Articles of Confederation was the first constitution. That was the first constitution. Okay. We now have the Constitution of the United States of America. The Constitution of the United States of America. All right. Now we nickname her, and I say her because, I'm a woman, so I'm going to see it as a woman. But the U.S. Constitution is a living, breathing document. Okay. And we'll talk more about that later. But with Article 1, they ran into issues right off. I'm sure they were throwing blows, y'all. I know they were talking straight trash to one another because they had different interests. They had different interests because of what was important in their home state or in their colony. Their agriculture wasn't the same. Trade, what they were trading, sometimes they were competing in their trade. Some of them had a monopoly or they dominated an industry. So if I said tobacco, you're instantly going to think probably North Carolina. And you may be surprised if I said Connecticut, right? And so they had they had what I call, I don't want to get lost on that. They had their own interests. But their biggest interest, the biggest thing, the thing that shook up everything was slavery. Okay. Slavery was the biggest issue during the convention. It stalled the convention. Slavery stalled the convention. It stalled the progress of organizing Article 1 because they could not agree. You had them trying to organize how representation would work in this federal government. They understood the idea. So let me stop. The people who had gone to Annapolis, think of them as the folks who wrote the outline or the agenda for the meeting, right? So they gave the framework. And then you take that framework. If any of y'all are in an organization, somebody come up with a framework or an agenda and they present it to the body, and then the body tussles over it, right? The body tussle. But if you're a good, wise leader, when you do that framework, you make sure those priorities are in there so that those who will visit it and who have to discuss and decide of it, they will have some understanding and they will likely lean towards it instead of you just merely suggesting it. Okay. But that's nowhere here nor there. So they have this framework that they're working with, and they know they need this federal legislature where each state has some representation, but they could not agree with how that representation would work. So the bigger states were primarily bigger in population because they had a lot of people enslaved, such as the state of Virginia. Virginia, you got to remember, Jamestown was the first one, right? The first settlement, and that is down the street from where I am right now. But they wanted representation based off of population, right? North Carolina wanted, no baby, no joiner right now. North Carolina wanted it based on population, right? Because what did North Carolina have? They enslaved a lot of people. Same thing with multiple states. Like those who had large populations of enslaved, they were like, yeah, let's base it off population. Let's make our our representation be based off population. And the small states were like, what? No. How you gonna want them to be a part of the count of the population, but you don't even count them as people? You count them as chattel. You register them as chattel, just as you register your cows, your pigs, your goats, your chickens. You got some nerve. And they were like, no, they're people. They're people for this purpose. They're people for the purpose of us dominating Congress, having the biggest representation. And the small states is like, nah, player, that ain't gonna work. So now they're bucking at each other. You got New Jersey. There's a guy named Patterson, New Jersey. There's a guy named Patterson. He's like, hell no. And then the people from Virginia were like, what you gonna do about it? So they're bucking at each other. And then you have Connecticut. Now, let me pause. All these places enslave people. All of them enslaved people, including Connecticut, right? Connecticut, very liberal today, Connecticut, right? Home of Yale, UConn, right? Even Connecticut. But Connecticut and other places were moving away. There was already an abolitionist movement. Okay. I do want to make that apparent. And so they understood as the nation grew that certain things would need to change. But Connecticut leaned in and was like, hold on, players, chill out. Because New Jersey was doing this thing where they wanted representation based on equal representation, whereas Virginia was like, Virginia and the homies, the big states, they were like, nah, we want representation based off population. So again, they were bucking. You got the one that wanted it based off equal, and then you got the one based off a lot. All right. Okay. And so they couldn't get it together. So Connecticut was like, chill out. Y'all break it up. Think about how small Connecticut is. It's small like New Jersey. New Jersey might be, yeah, New Jersey is bigger than, I don't know. But anyway, Connecticut's like, chill out, y'all. Chill out. I got a solution. So Connecticut comes in with what we call now the Great Compromise. So you have the New Jersey plan, equal representation. You have the Virginia plan, right? The Virginia plan based on population, right? Equal representation, population. So Virginia, New Jersey, right? And so Connecticut busts in, and Connecticut's like, chill out, I got this. Here's the Great Compromise. And that's what it's called. The Great Compromise was, we'll do both. We'll have one chamber based off equal representation, and we'll have one chamber based off of population. And Jersey was still like, the cousins, the smaller states is like, nah, that still don't work, because they are counting people that won't have a voice, that won't be represented. Now, y'all know I'm dressing up these words, right? But I'm just giving you context. And so, because that was the argument, basically, that you want to count people that you don't even actually treat humanely as humans, as people, but for this purpose, you feel like you should dominate. And so you get another compromise. So the first compromise you get is the Great Compromise, right? The other compromise is the 3/5 compromise, okay? And so the 3/5 compromise is always debated. And I think it's because we be in our feelings, but if we just use some critical thinking, like for real, critical thinking, and I'm sure people used to tell people this, and so it got passed on, and maybe people treated people like this, but the 3/5 compromise wasn't saying you as a person were only 3/5 of a person, because that wouldn't have made sense for the purpose. Like if we just use critical thinking, that wouldn't have made sense for the purpose of the counting. They weren't about to do all that damn math. Like, seriously, they were not going to measure people or enslaved persons by that type of math. They were going to measure them collectively. So I got 5 enslaved people, right? 5 enslaved people. For the purpose of representation, we're just going to count 3 of them. All right. The other 2 do not get counted in the 3/5 because of the 3/5 compromise. These other 2 do not get counted because the smaller states were saying that that wouldn't be fair for them to count all of their enslaved people. So big states like Virginia and North Carolina, they compromised. They were like, okay, 3 out of 5, we'll do that. Okay. But I know that it's been passed down and ingrained in us that it was something else. And y'all, these folks was not counting. They were not doing all that damn math. That just does not even make sense for what they were trying to accomplish. Like, I know the legacy of slavery and how brutal it was and how harmful it was and how it's still the remnants, the residue of it lives today. I am not ignoring that. But I want to be clear that at Philadelphia, when they were fighting over representation, they literally had to convince these larger states that for all of their enslaved people, they could only count 3 out of 5, right? 3/5 of them can be counted. Okay. Now, it makes sense that people would use that language to denigrate us, Black people in this nation. It makes sense that that would be passed along throughout times and ingrained in us, that they only counted us as 3/5 of a person. And that's not what that was. And if I had a magic wand, I would wipe that out of our heads, because too many of us have accepted that. Okay, let's see what's going on in these comments. So, Candace, there were no Confederate states at that time, beloved. You're looking at the 19th century. I'm in the 18th century right now. I'm in the 1700s, the 1780s to be exact, 1787. So let me teach, and you just take notes, baby girl. If you have questions, there will be a Q&A here shortly. All right, because I don't want y'all to be fighting like they were in these comments. I don't want y'all battling. I just need y'all to learn. Shout out to the YouTube people. I said Article 1. Yes, Alexa, that is correct. So we're still in Article 1. All right, no worries. It happens. It happens. It happens. But y'all got to remember, this is a classroom. This is a learning environment. All right. So where was I? So they agreed. And so that's how Congress was created. Congress was born out of 2 plans, right? And 2 compromises. And so we have 2 chambers of Congress, all right? 2 chambers of Congress. Article 1, the first chamber, and the purpose of Congress is so that we, the people, have representation, so that the people were represented. Again, you got to remember what started, what that really set this off. It wasn't just the trade, but what really set this off was Daniel Shay and the homies, the other farmers who had gone off and fought for independence, would come home and were not being treated right because their property had liens on them. Okay. And so that's what kind of set this domino off, right? Now we're in Philadelphia and they're trying to figure out representation, because Daniel Shay exposed the weakness of the Articles of Confederation, knowingly or unknowingly, probably the latter, probably unknowingly, because all he was thinking about is, baby, you gonna take this lien off my farm because I just went and fought for this independence. I just put my life on the line. All right. So you have 2 chambers. All right. You have the House of Representatives, based off of what? Y'all put it in notes. What you think the House of Representatives is based off of? Put it in comments. Go ahead, like, share, follow, please. Please share the live, like it. All right. All right. House is based off population. Thank you. Yes, House is based off population. Thank you all. Thank you. The House is based off population. All right. Today, the House of Representatives, write this down. Today, the House of Representatives has 435 people. We have 435 members who are representatives of states based off population. So the larger your population, the more representatives you have in the House of Representatives. Okay. On the flip side, the U.S. Senate is the other chamber. Okay. The U.S. Senate is the other chamber. The U.S. Senate has 2 senators for each state. 2 senators for each state. Because remember, it's equal representation for each state. So how many states do we have? Today we have 50 states. So therefore we have 100 members of the U.S. Senate. Now, what that means to you as an individual is you have 3 employees, 3 elected employees who are members of the U.S. Congress. You have 3 employees because they work for you. You got to see them as your employees. You have to see yourself as the employer. How do you hire and you fire is through your votes. How they keep their job is by how accountable you keep them. But you have three of these. 2 of them are in the U.S. Senate. 1 of them is in the House of Representatives. Now, I want you to put in your notes, who are my 3 members of the U.S. Congress? 2 senators, 1 representative. Okay. Now, in Texas, where I live, you can Google who represents me. Texas, I'm pretty sure you can do that for every state. Just Google who represents me, and I'll probably give you a form where you have to put in like your address and put in your address, and it will tell you who your U.S. Congress member is, because that is specific. Because it's based on population, we have a whole bunch of districts. So for me, I live in the 18th congressional district of Texas. So my representative is the Honorable Sylvester Turner. He used to be Mayor Turner, now he's Representative Turner. All right, that's who my member of Congress is for the House of Representatives. My senators are John Cornyn and Ted Cruz, or Rafael Cruz. All right. Those are my 3 employees of the U.S. Congress. All right. So I want you to look that up for yourself. Put that in your notes. Find out who represents you. Now, a lot of people always talk about what people ain't doing. But you know how I get, well, who represents you? Who's your member of Congress? Right? And they'll name somebody because they identify with that person, but that person really is not their member of Congress. That person is not responsible for advocating for their specific community. All right. Ms. D said, I will find my 3 employees. All right. Yes, there are a lot of Texans here, and I love that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Make sure you share. All right. But again, this is Global Classroom. We got people from all over. I was looking at the registrations, and it made me just so excited, because you desire it. And that's what makes teaching and lecturing rich and enjoyable for those of us who do it, is when we have students who desire it. So thank you for desiring it. All right. So identify who those people are for you. So Article 1, we're in Article 1 now. Okay. Because I can't spend a lot of time because we've already been going for 45 minutes now. So I don't want to spend too much time in the founding. We'll go back and we'll touch in that. But Article 1. So Article 1, you should have that. If you've registered, you received a link to the Constitution. It was for Cornell, and I'm gonna give you the website if you're watching. It's law.cornell.edu. Thank you. Not registered, but I'm locked in. If that's okay, that's fine, baby. That's fine. I'm about to give you the website now. And I utilize this just because it's a good teaching tool, and I've been using it since I was a student studying the law, right? But the website is law.cornell.edu/Constitution. All right. No, it's not too late to register, Diana. All right. So I'm going to give this website a couple of times if someone could put it in the comments. And then I'm going to give like some housekeeping again, and we'll go into part 2 of the lecture. All right. So the website, law.cornell.edu/Constitution. Thank you, Pam. So y'all look for Pam's and Jess and Jazz's comments. They've put it there. Screenshot it so you'll have it. Let me make sure I smile. But screenshot it so you'll have it. Okay. Let's see. Do I have it here? I don't know if I put it in a banner. I did not, but I can. law.cornell.edu/constitution. All right. So if you're on YouTube, it's there on the screen for you now. All right. So housekeeping. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to federal government for spring 2025 global classroom online social media version, right? This is outside of my professional job. This is outside of me as an actual paid professor. This is community service. This is service outside. Okay. So I'm going to respect you. I need you to respect me. We're going to have good, rich community. If you would like to register, you can visit Pretty Petty Politics on YouTube. Bookmark it. Make sure you subscribe to it. Make sure you like it and you share it. But under the description on Pretty Petty Politics, there is a link to a Google form. You can complete that link. If you use Meta, you can go to _ the Pretty Professor. And on that page, whether you have an Instagram account or not, you can go into your search engine and open up Instagram, and you can put Instagram.com/_ the Pretty Professor. Like literally put that in the URL. It'll pull up the page, click the links, and you'll have all the resources for the class, including the form to register. I encourage you to register. It's not required. I encourage you to register because occasionally I will send you emails with resources, with articles, with information, right? And then if you have serious questions about the subject matter, I will respond. If y'all send me foolishness trying to holler at me and all that, baby, ain't gonna happen. Baby, my inbox on fire with, "Hi, beautiful. I would like to be your sugar daddy." Boy, bye. Please go find somebody else to play with your scams. But seriously, make sure you're being respectful in the inbox, and the content is related to the actual course, okay? Please, because ain't nobody got time for that. Y'all, I'm human. I got to keep it 100. All right, so let's get ready. All right, so you can register. You'll get emails. If you registered before 10 a.m. today, you got an email from me. You either got it last night or you got it this morning. I have not used the Discord. Y'all taking me too fast. So let me just tell you about myself. I've been on TikTok since about 2020. Rarely ever posted, like rarely. And then the post, it was such a corny post. The first post, I took it down. I think now it's just like one from like a year ago or 2 years ago. And then some more recent ones, like I did end of the year 2024 videos, just trying to get a feel for it. So baby, I don't know nothing about Discord. I'm going to get there though. So just take me slowly. Take me slowly. I'm going to get there with how to utilize this platform better, because for me, this platform was entertainment and learning. And I would just scroll and look and read and listen and then go to sleep. Okay. So please, well, I need to get into this class. Please advise. So you can go to the YouTube page and get the form. The YouTube page is Pretty Petty Politics. It's under the description. You can register through the form. All right. So I will work on Discord, but the YouTube is in the bio. Government. This is a government class. All right. Everything that you need is in the bio, right? YouTube will direct you to the Instagram as well as the form. All right. So please, hello, hi. Welcome. This is the first day of class, federal government, spring 2025. Generally, we will meet at 10:20, opening up, 10:30 start here on TikTok and on YouTube Live. Okay. So now let me get back to it. Y'all got the housekeeping. Y'all know how to find everything. All right. Pretty Petty Politics. Those of you on YouTube already got it. Hello to the folks on YouTube. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share. You can send this video to somebody And if they can't watch it right now, they can watch it later because it's being recorded to YouTube. All right, so we have about 40 to 45 minutes left, and then that's going to be it for today. And then y'all know I'll do some little lessons in between the lecture. All right. Okay, so let's get into the Constitution. Article 1, and it's so important that we talk about Congress because I don't think people know. I don't think y'all realize how important Congress is to you. I know most people think that the power all is in the president, like the president has all this power and influence, and they do, but they can get checked. Check, baby, one, two. Okay. They can get checked. Okay. They can get checked by Congress. They can get checked by the courts. The courts, you hear that plural? The courts, plural, not limited to one court. All right. And so Article 1 is what our focus is today. And we're checking for Congress. Okay. Congress is our focus today. Y'all got me cracking up on TikTok, these comments. All right. So Section 1. If you're looking at the Cornell law, let me put that back up on YouTube. If you're looking at that Cornell page for the Constitution, right, you'll see, and this is why I like this because it gives an overview. Article 1 describes the design of, what just happened to my page? The design of the legislative branch of U.S. government, the Congress. Important ideas include the separation of powers between branches of government, checks and balances, the election of senators and representatives, the process by which laws are made, and the powers that Congress has. Now, most of you, when you were in school, they taught you we had two chambers. They first taught you, what are the three branches of government? And then they taught you to say legislative, executive, judicial, right? And so usually if you ask someone that, what are the three branches of government? They can probably tell you, and generally they will tell you in that order. But they don't know why they tell you it in that order. They just know it because that's how they were taught. Well, the reason why you always say it in that order is because that's the order it is in the Constitution. It's the legislature, the executive, and the judicial. Those are our three branches of government, and that's how they're presented in the U.S. Constitution. Article 1, Article 2, Article 3. All right. Okay, so Article 1, generally people learn that, I need to put this computer on. Give me 1 second. I see my battery going down. Just give me 1 second. Plug up the MacBook. Okay. Generally, people, you may have heard, like when you took this course in high school, or if you took this as a semester in college, that the qualifications to become a member of Congress, right? We've heard those things. And so unfortunately, a lot of times when these courses are taught, it's very surface. It's very surface. It's not detailed. Here, we're going to do detail, but I may not give you all the details. I may guide you to the details for you to delve in and find it yourself. So I do want you all to read Article 1. Okay. I want you to read Article 1. Y'all, let me tell you, the Constitution ain't even that long. It really ain't. You probably could read it faster than you could read, say, oh, I just got an alert saying my live will end in 5 minutes. So if it ends, it ends. But if it don't, we're going to keep going. If it ends, just jump on the YouTube because I'm going to keep going. All right. But the qualifications of a person to run for the House of Representatives, the qualifications for someone to run for the Senate. For the Senate and the House, you have to be citizens. You have to be of certain ages. I want you to look at the qualifications, but we're not really checking for those. Okay. We're looking at the powers, and the most important power of Congress, or not the most, one of the most, right? Because we know Congress, the purpose of the legislature is to legislate. That L legislates, literature, writing, they write laws. Okay, they write laws. Why would they be high, Jay Garcia? Why would the qualifications be high? You want equal representation. You want people to be represented, right? All right. So qualifications aren't really that low, but also you have to think of life expectancy when it was drafted. So 25, right? But hell, you can go fight at 18, 17, 18. Why shouldn't you be able to be a representative at 25? Right? I'm just saying. I'm just saying, right? Ideally, you want um a representation that mirrors the nation. We have yet to see that accomplished. We have speckles, right? Most people who are members of Congress, they have a law degree. Most. Most. If you look it up, like in my textbooks I use in my class, there's a graphic that shows the number of lawyers in Congress. There are a lot of lawyers in Congress. And surprisingly, a lot of them don't even know the Constitution. I'll tell you that. A lot of my friends are lawyers, right? They're attorneys. They're licensed attorneys. I'm a lawyer. I'm not licensed. They're licensed. They're attorneys. They practice the law. I teach the law. I would say, very familiar with the law. And I don't just mean the Constitution. Like I delve into local laws, state laws, statutes, all of that. That's just something that I nerd out over. All right. So you have to look at the representation of the people. So that is why you have that. Why isn't there a term limit? These are good questions, right? Why isn't there term limits? Yes, it's a lot, but you find the subject that inspires you the most, hidden Nakwabe. Find the subject in law school that inspires you the most, or the two subjects that inspire you the most, or the collective. So for me, the ones that inspired me the most were evidence. I love my evidence professor. He gave me my first and only job in law. He was a mentor to me. Shout out to Mr. Bentley down in Birmingham. Evidence, Civ Pro, constitutional law, duh, y'all can tell that, and criminal law. Those were the ones that I just absorbed the most. I'm familiar with the other subjects, of course. I learned them. I could lean into them, but the ones that I just gave you, con law, y'all stop trying to join my live. Those are the ones that I utilize and delve into in other pockets. Okay. So those are the ones I delve into. So I'm talking a lot about me. I want to get back to the topic. So let's get back to the Article 1. I want you to look at Article 1. I want you to discover the qualifications. Section 1 is just a general statement, all legislative powers. So all powers to write laws, to legislate. The president don't write laws. Executive orders are not laws. They have the effect of laws, but they are not laws, because all powers herein, the Constitution is our guide. So all powers are vested. It says shall be. So let's talk about words, because we're gonna deal with may and shall a lot. May is an option. Shall is a must. It's mandatory. All right. Shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and a House of Representatives. All powers herein granted shall be vested. All legislative powers. The power to write laws. The power to write laws is vested in the legislature. Again, if this live ends, I don't think it will. But if it ends, y'all, does it end automatically? Or if that was just my suggested time, I don't know. But if it ends, y'all jump on YouTube, Pretty Petty Politics. Okay. All right. So all powers to write laws comes through Congress. Now, just because you're a congressperson, you write a law don't mean it's going to become law, because they're going to look at it if it's stupid and be like, no. And if it is brilliant, they might look at it and say, no, because politically it does not serve them. Okay. And that's why you see sometimes you have people reaching across the aisle. You hear that phrase? That means political parties. So you have the right and the left. They may reach across the aisle and cooperatively create legislation that benefits significantly benefits their constituents, but also significantly will impact and benefit the nation. So all people in all states. Okay. There was legislation a couple of years ago that Senator Ted Cruz, two opposites, I mean, two separate ends of the spectrum, Senator Ted Cruz and Senator Raphael Warnock. So Georgia, Texas, black man, Cuban, Canadian, Texan. I get Ted Cruz a hard time, but we all do. He like that cousin that you just pick on because he always come to grandma house starting shit. You know what I'm saying? You know he family, and he a senator, so he my senator, so he my employee. But you know we pick on Ted Cruz, and we don't like him most days. Well, I don't, but sometimes he does good. But then he does crazy stuff like during a freeze, he leaves, sneaks out to Mexico. All right, that's enough of that. See, this is why this is global classroom, because in my actual classroom, I have zero of this, real straight and narrow, direct but straight and narrow. Right? So they work together on a bill. Okay. So that happens. But you have to, it's important that you understand that the legislature writes laws. They write acts. You hear people say, oh, it'll take an act of Congress for XYZ to happen. And yes, we've had acts of Congress. So last week, no, I won't go there. Not today. But we have acts of Congress. Let's deal with an act, right? Let's deal with an act. In 1992, there was an act. I think it was 91, 92. There was an act called American Disabilities Act, the ADA. That was an act of Congress, okay? An act of Congress. The Civil Rights Act of 1964, stomach growling, right? So we have these acts that Congress writes, okay? These acts that Congress writes. Here's another act, the Lilly Ledbetter Act. The Lilly Ledbetter Act. That was named for a woman. I forget, I don't know, she worked for Goodyear. She worked for like a tire company down in Alabama. And that bill, y'all tell me what that bill was about, that act, the Lilly Ledbetter Act. Tell me what that act was about. It was signed into law by President Obama when that was the first act that he signed into law. But what was the Lilly Ledbetter Act? Somebody tell me, what was the Lilly Ledbetter Act? And I see I have folks, let me see what these comments are. Okay, a lot of y'all jumped over. Okay, good. Pay. Yes, Lilly Ledbetter Act, fair pay, right? But it took an act of Congress, and we still ain't there yet, by the way. But it took an act of Congress, right? An act of Congress. And just because the law is created and written doesn't mean that it doesn't get challenged or delayed in implementation. It takes time because culturally in some folks' minds, they don't have to oblige. And then we get things caught up in the courts, which we will talk about later, which is Article 3. Okay. But the Lilly Ledbetter Act, okay? What act was signed into law yesterday by President Trump, passed by Congress, right? But what act was signed into law yesterday Do you know? And what was the purpose of it? Now, we know it's a lot of stuff in these acts, right? But what was the purpose of it? What's the surface purpose of it? Anybody know? The Lincoln Riley Act. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Stomach growling. The Lincoln Riley Act was signed into law yesterday. So presidents sign things into law, right? But the legislators, the Congress writes them. Okay? Acts. Those acts. All right. I saw someone say amendment. We're going to get to amendment. Amendments are laws that are added to the Constitution, but who can write an amendment? Who can write an amendment? Kyra J, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I hate how they politicize that death for that act. Who can write an amendment? Congress. Congress. How does an amendment become law? Now, in one of my short videos, so I'm generally going to put up a 10-minute video, maybe daily or every other day on TikTok. And I'm going to start streaming those to YouTube. And I've started a couple of them. But those videos, they're going to give you information. Those are like lessons. So like little videos for homework, right? Because y'all don't have no homework to submit. So don't be asking about no damn homework. Ain't nobody grading that. I had somebody tell me the other day on here, oh, you can create a Google form that'll auto grade. Who gonna do that? No, I can't. No, I won't. Like, y'all, we're not playing Barbies. We're not playing house. Like, y'all taking this imaginary stuff too far. Just come get the information. Come get the lesson, right? But amendments. Amendments are written by Congress, can be passed through Congress. But what's required for an amendment to become actual law? What's required for an amendment to become actual law? Yes, Photo Cake 84, the states have to agree and it has to be ratified by a certain amount of time. No, by a certain amount of states, 38 states, right? Today, because we have 50 states. So 38 must agree. All right. 38 states must agree. Okay. Yes. Laura. Yes. Laura says the states have to vote on it. Just 2 C's and 2 E's. No, not just majority rule, because majority would be 26. It has to be 3/4. All right. It has to be 3/4. Grace 3/4. All right. All right. And that's how an amendment is ratified through the states. Written by Congress, ratified by the states. Written by Congress, ratified by the states. So let's talk about amendments. Amendments fall under Article 5. Amendments fall under Article 5. Article 5. Amendments fall under Article 5. Okay? Amendments fall under Article 5. Y'all are good, though. I appreciate the involvement and the excitement. All right. Now, back to Article 1. All right. Let's look at the powers. All right. One thing I want to tell you about the Senate, and this happened just the other day for a confirmation. So the Senate has 100 people, and sometimes it's 50-50. Sometimes it's 50-50. Well, I can't even pronounce this guy's name right. Higseth. He is now the new Secretary of Defense. He was a Fox News anchor or analyst or participant. He worked for Fox News, but President Trump nominated him to be his Secretary of Defense. Which is a cabinet position, right? We're not talking about executive, but I'm showing you how arbitrarily the president can't just do anything, because a lot of stuff has to come through Congress, or Congress gets to check it. If it doesn't have to come through Congress, Congress can check it, saying yes or no, or challenge it. Okay. So the president nominates cabinet members. Hexeth is just one example I'm going to use because I'm trying to show you something about the Senate. So when his confirmation hearings ended, the Senate took a vote and it was 50-50. Remember, because there are only 100 members of the U.S. Senate. So it was split 50-50. Now, I want you to know that it's not 50-50 Republican and Democrat. It was a mix of people who said no. All right. Because you follow me? Because it was 50-50, somebody had to split the vote. Well, in the U.S. Senate, there's one extra person, but all they can do, the only time they can vote is when there's a tie. No, you cannot join my live. I'm about to boot you out of here because I don't even understand why you think you join this live. All right. And that's the VP. And so the Senate voted on confirming him for Secretary of Defense. It was a tie. So the Vice President, J.D. Vance, had to come in and split that vote. Same thing. That's going to happen multiple times. Vice President Harris has done it. Most vice presidents have had to split a vote. Okay, if it's 50-50. Yes, this is on YouTube. This is on my YouTube. My YouTube is in my bio on TikTok. Okay, and so that's how he became Secretary of Defense, because he was confirmed through the Senate, through that vote that was tied. The vice president came in and split that vote. All right. So the vice president of the United States shall be president of the Senate, but shall have no vote unless they be equally divided. Okay. Unless they be equally divided. That's straight out of the Constitution. That's not just, those aren't my words. All right. Shall. Remember, I told you we're going to deal with shall. Shall means it must. Mandatory. May means maybe, might, option, right? But shall. Okay. The Senate shall choose their other officers and also a president pro tempore. President pro tempore runs the Senate in the absence of the vice president. All right. They are in charge of the Senate. All right. The Senate shall have the sole power, sole only, belong, like sole proprietor, belong, sole power to try all impeachments. All right. So lesson here. Now I'm going to jump back up to section 2. That's section 1. Excuse me, section 3. I was in section 3 talking about the Senate. I'm jumping back up to section 2 to talk about the House of Representatives. All right. The House of Representatives shall choose their speaker, so the Speaker of the House, and other officers. I want y'all to tell me who's the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Who's the Speaker of the House? All right. And so, and other officers, semicolon, and shall have the sole power of impeachment. All right. Mike Johnson, that is correct. That is the Speaker of the House. Stomach growl, I got to eat. And shall have sole power of impeachment. So let's talk about this, because impeachments happen. We've had several impeachments or impeachment processes. Okay. The most famous one is probably the one with Nixon, where he resigns. If you ever watch those hearings, you'll hear the great orator, Barbara Jordan, the Honorable Barbara Jordan, Congresswoman from Texas, who was just this phenomenal legislator. But you'll hear her speak if you listen to those Nixon hearings or what have you. But what I want to share with you is the House of Representatives. They think of them as a grand jury. All right. Think of the House of Representatives as a grand jury. Well, Professor McShay, what is a grand jury? Well, I'm glad you asked. A grand jury determines whether or not the evidence is sufficient to bring charges. All right. And so if they bring charges, then an indictment is filed. Okay. An indictment. All right. Um, that indictment that you have in a grand jury in the House of Representatives is what we call an impeachment. They operate very similarly. Okay. If someone is indicted by a grand jury, like charges are brought up against them, what do they face? They face charges, and now there is a trial. Well, Article 1, Section 2 gives you the indictment, right? That grand jury, that is the sole power of the House of Representatives. Impeachment, right? So they can impeach someone. Someone can be impeached by the House. That means indicted. But when the trial happens in the Senate, that will be, my stomach is cutting up. That will be the determining. That's like going to court. Okay. So the House of Representatives can bring charges. The Senate will try the person. The trial will be held in the Senate. The person who oversees the trial is the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Okay. Marshay, I love your name. That was my nephew's name. I saw your name the other day and just smiled so big. Yes, I need a sandwich. I'm gonna go eat. Don't worry. This water got me. Nope. I'm good. It's called discipline. I know what I'm working on. All right. So where were we? So we have impeachment and we have a trial. Now tell me, what is the impeachment similar to? Make sure y'all are taking notes. What is an impeachment similar to? So in civilian life, what would an impeachment be? A grand jury. Okay, a grand jury. And what's the purpose of a grand jury? What's the purpose of a grand jury? The purpose of a grand jury is to not going to court, Pam. The purpose of a grand jury is to decide if there's enough evidence to bring charges. Is it appropriate to bring charges? Right? And those are indictments. Okay. This is government class. Whoever asked that is government. All right. Yes. To bring charges, not convict. We don't convict at grand juries. Grand juries are impaneled to evaluate the evidence to determine if it's enough to bring charges. If it is, then an indictment is filed. Once that indictment is filed for the purpose of Congress, it's called an impeachment. In civilian life, it's called an indictment. Okay. And if that indictment or impeachment happens, then you have a trial. In Congress, that trial is held in the Senate. Okay. And the person who oversees that trial is the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. So who is, yes, grand juries before a trial, if required by law or if it's high profile and the DA wants to do that. That's in civilian. We're talking about Congress though. Now tell me this, who is the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court? Who is the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court? Yes, John Roberts. John Roberts is the Chief Justice. He was appointed by George W. Bush. John Roberts. He has been on the bench now for probably about 20 years. I think he's 70 years old now. I think he's 70. Yes, John Roberts. All right. John Roberts, often, not all the time, but often he splits that vote on that bench. He can rock, even though he was a conservative, appointed by a conservative president. He has been known to lean left even though I'm going right. He's known to lean left as a justice. Now, we're not talking about the Supreme Court today, so don't be asking me about terms. Now, let's talk about the terms of Congress. Okay, let's talk about the terms of Congress. So, people always ask questions about why people stay in Congress so long. Power is a drug. Power and perks. And I ain't talking about Percocets, but think of Percocets. You know how people get addicted to Percocets? They get addicted to power, and that is there, and the perks that come with power. Get it? It's a drug. It just is what it is. If you've ever experienced power, it can be exciting and you can get ahead of yourself. That's a reason why a lot of people don't stop serving. Not all. Some really feel like that what they're doing is needed and they can't sit down. They must stay in office. They believe that. Some people, they stay in till they die. You know, they live, eat, and breathe. Like without it, they would literally die. Okay. You have people like that. You have people who, you know, in private civilian life that are working well past retirement. And the moment they retire, they drop dead. Like that's their life. But I can't answer that because I've never been a member of Congress. I don't know how that feels. And I don't know what that's like. But if I had to imagine, it would be one of those two things. Like they feel like that's their life calling and they must do it. No one questions why, you know, some of y'all got pastors in your churches that's 87 years old that really need to sit down, but y'all still call them doc and pastor. Y'all ain't telling them to sit down. You thinking it, but you ain't telling them. It's the same thing, y'all. It's the same thing, right? You have educators. You have some folks that just keep teaching, you know? So yeah, but there are no term limits. There are no term limits. I want you to look at your state and see if your state has term limits on your state legislators or your governor. In Texas, our governor has no term limits. In Texas, our governor has no term limits. It's quite interesting when you look at term limits. All right. So many local governments, surprisingly, especially in smaller places, they don't have term limits either. My county sheriff in my home county of Polk County, Florida, y'all have probably seen my county sheriff. You know, I got this love-hate for him. I say it's 80% love, 20% hate. I still ain't let go of 2006. But Grady Judd been the sheriff of Polk County for forever. But I will say, Grady Judd, if his mama broke the law, he'll arrest her too. He'll have a whole task force. All right. Y'all can't tell I was from Florida. Y'all couldn't hear it in my accent. But yeah, Grady Judd been the sheriff forever. He is Sheriff Grady Judd, and he's respected. He's not as hated as people think he is, like, because we know, like, you just don't come and break the law in Polk County. Like, just don't do it. Because if you do it, Grady Judd got a task force for you and you going to jail. Like, I honestly, and I've been saying this for years, Grady Judd's mama could break the law and she going to jail. He is not playing with nobody. All right, that's a good little break, the tease about Grady Judd. And you can follow Polk County Sheriffs on TikTok, and it is hilarious and ridiculous. But yeah, follow that online. Sheriff Grady Judd, he's something else, baby. But you know, I've talked to him. I've met him several times, especially when I lived home, and you know, he's respected and the county appreciates him. Like he holds it down for the most part. There's some things sometimes you be like, come on, Grady now. But overall, you know, okay. So term limits. Yes, baby. Polk County, Polk, P-O-K-E, Polk County. We just roll it all in P-O County, Polk County. Yes, I'm from Lakeland, Florida, like all day long. All right, I just live in Houston. I give Houston the honor and the opportunity to be embraced by all of this. All right, so term limits. Term limits just, they don't exist, but you can fire them the next time their term is up. So let's talk about the hiring and firing of Congress. Because see, we're still talking about Congress. All right. So it is 11:55. So we can go a little bit longer. I'm gonna give y'all 2 whole hours today. It's gonna be a hard stop though. A hard stop at 12:30 Eastern time. Okay. So y'all buckle up. We got about 34 minutes. Okay. Make sure you're following, make sure you're sharing, make sure you're liking, subscribe if you're on the YouTube. Please do all the things, right, to help move this platform along so that more people can get this information. All right. So let's talk. Hiring and firing members of Congress, right? Article 1. Article 1, it tells you how to do it. Bruh, come on. Article 1. Article 1 is what? What does Article 1 provide? What does it cover? Our federal what? Good morning. What does Article 1 cover? What have we been talking about? Starts with the C. What are we talking about? Article 1. Article 1, the legislature. The legislature, our federal legislature, right? Also known as Congress. Yes, we're talking about the Constitution. Now, that is a correct answer, but the best answer is Congress or legislature. All right. All right. The answer is always Constitution. I tell my students that in class at work, I'm like, just if you don't know the answer, start with Constitution and then take the whatever the question is asking you, figure out in your head where that falls in the Constitution. That's always your answer, right? So yes, we're talking about Congress. So members of the House of Representatives are elected every 2 years, okay, during even number years. Congress is elected only during even number years. Say it with me. Congress is only elected during even number years. See you later. Make sure you catch it on YouTube, the replay. Congress is elected only during even years. Okay? Even years. That's when we overwhelmingly vote for Congress members. So even years, right? The House of Representatives, the bigger chamber, the one that has 435 members, right? 435 members, they serve for 2-year terms. House, 2-year terms. Senate, 6-year terms. Senate, 6-year terms. Okay. House, 2, Senate, 6. Now with the Senate, and I'll do a short video talking about how and when senators run. Senators are on a cycle. So we have 3 groups, and I will do a separate short video, not a live, but just a video that will be stored here on YouTube and on TikTok that covers when senators run. All right. So senators serve for 6 years. Members of the House of Representatives, who we often call congressmen, so we'll say congressman, congresswoman, they serve for how many years? 2. All right. That's another thing. Let's talk about the language right quick. Oftentimes we know that the House of Representatives is a part of Congress, but we only think of it as Congress, and we think of the Senate separately. I've seen that expressed by so many people, but both are a part of Congress. Congress has 2 parts, a House and a Senate. Okay. Congress has 2 parts, a House and a Senate. Okay. The House, okay, the House is the more populated one, whereas the Senate is more exclusive. Generally, people call members of the Senate senator, Madam Senator, right? Or the gentle senator, meaning the gentleman from whatever state, senator. all right, or the gentlewoman from whatever state, senator, right? The House, we generally call them, most people call them congressman or congresswoman. Like Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee died this past July. That's her name. Like no one just called her Sheila Jackson Lee unless they were a hater. That's her name, Congresswoman. Matter of fact, we refer to her as the Congresswoman, even though we got 11 Congress members in Texas. If you were in Houston and you heard that phrase, you knew everybody was talking about Sheila Jackson Lee, right? She's a representative, a congressional representative. She's the representative for the 18th congressional district, or she was, right? Whereas Senator Ted Cruz or Senator John Cornyn, they are senators. I don't want you to get them mixed up when you hear someone say representative and think something different, or say the member of Congress and not realize they're also talking about your senators. Okay. Okay. House are a state representative. No, Tangi, that's not correct. The House and the senators represent your state. So let me go back. Everyone here has 3 members of Congress. Everyone has 3 members of Congress. Okay. 3 members of Congress. Every state has 3 members of Congress. 2 of those members of Congress that you have as an individual, 2 of them are your U.S. senators. I'm using the state of Texas as an example because that is where I reside. That is my home. My state senators, my senior senator, meaning of the 2, the one who's been serving the longest, my senior senator is John Cornyn, Coryn. My junior senator is Ted Cruz, Cruz. Okay, those are my 2 senators. But I also have a member of the House of Representatives who represents me, because the House of Representatives is based on population, is divided into districts. So I reside in the 18th Congressional District of Texas for the U.S. House of Representatives. And so I'm represented by Congressman or Representative Sylvester Turner. Those are my 3 members of Congress. They are my 3 employees in Congress. I can hire them or fire them through my voting collectively with other voters. Y'all see where I'm going? Okay. All right. So you have 2 senators, 1 representative. All right. Senators, that's correct. Senators represent their entire state, whereas a representative or a congressman or congresswoman, they represent their particular district. Y'all got that? All right. So let's deal with districts right quick. So you heard me say I live in the 18th Congressional District of Texas. How many districts? Because we're using Texas as our example for those of you in Texas, but everyone else, I want you to look at your state. How many representatives does your state have? Not not senators, but how many members of the House of Representatives does your state have? For Texas, I want to see Texas, those of you who are in Texas, because I know it's a lot of Texas people on here. All right. For some of you, you're from smaller states, you may only have 1 member of the House of Representatives for the entire state. Okay. Some states only have 2. Jay, that is correct. 38. Texas has 38 members of the House of Representatives. So because Texas has 38 members of the House of Representatives, how many members of Congress does Texas have? If they have 38 members of the House, how many? That's correct, Shelby. 40. All right. 40. All right. Now, how are these determined? Right? How is it determined who has what? Well, I'm glad you asked. So we are in the year 2025, correct? That's the year we're in. So back in 2020, not only did we have an election, but we had something else. Not only did we have a presidential election, we had something else. Does anybody know what that something else was? What happens in years that ends with 0? What do we do? Yes, Ryan, we had a census. Okay, we had a census, census. A census is a census is not anything new. It's not anything unique to the United States. We did not invent it. They have been going on forever. A lot of times you're going to hear me refer to the Bible. I'm going to tell you right now, it's a history book as well as it is a religious text, a book of faith, or what have you. In the Bible, there was census taken to determine who the people were. And to be counted, you had to travel to certain places. So you had to go back home. So you'll see in the story of Mary and Joseph and sweet baby Jesus, they had to travel home, right? Because a census was being taken. Census are nothing new, right? So in the United States, we take a census every 10 years, in years that end with 0. So we're halfway to our next census. All right. A census is an accounting of the population. It is taking an accounting of the population. Now, I have a trick question for you, right? And maybe I won't make it a question. Zaya Muhammad, can you put your question? Oh, account individual fund, is that correct? Yes, that is correct, but it's not limited to that. So who is exempt from being counted during a census? Who is not included in a census count? Let's see if y'all know. Thank you, Tashira. That's no. Antarius. And I trust God only. And CC, nope. T Flowers and Inga and Tashira, y'all are all correct. User 148737. That's right. No one is exempt. All persons are counted unless they hide from the count. All right. The unborn and the dead are not people. So just 2 C's and 2 E's, they don't count because they don't exist. See what I just did there? They don't have breath. They're not alive. They're either unborn or they're dead. All right. So you count everyone, including those who are non-citizens. Now, yes, everyone. Okay. Everyone is counted. We're learning a lot. If you're learning a lot, go ahead and like and share. Please share. Share with 3 people, y'all. I like the number 3. Share with 3 people. Please go ahead. Share this with 3 people. If you're on TikTok, share. If you're on YouTube, share with 3 people. If you're on YouTube, send them the text. Send them a text of the. Click the share button. Send a text. But share. Right? But we're learning a lot here because it's so important. We need to understand how things work. If we understand how things work, we're more able to critically think and approach and deal with what is happening around us, right? And be able to better engage and hold our elected employees accountable because we know how things work, right? And I know we like to say, Azaya, I'm coming to that. I know we like to say, they didn't teach me this, but they really did. They taught it to you. They taught it to you through teaching you how to read. And you'll hear me say that a lot. You've been taught because you were taught to read. Now, whether or not you continue to read, that's on you. We learn through not just being taught. We learn through our skills. Our skills expose us to learning, right? And so because we can read, we can delve into more things, right? So the census does. So I have a question on YouTube, and this is a great question. And we're going to talk about, the way we're going to talk about that topic. Like, I need you to get out my lesson plans. So her question, I think it's a young lady, and forgive me if not. What about a family member that is incarcerated? Are they counted? Yes. Incarcerated persons are counted. Incarcerated people are counted. All right. Now I'm going to pause there and I'm going to go back to this thing about reading. I like to listen sometimes, like if I'm getting ready for work, like I'll read my Bible, but then I may press play. Like this morning, I was probably listened to about 10 chapters of the book of Numbers, right? But I like to listen, but I also read. And I think that because of technology, we've gotten away from reading. So we don't think to open up books. We just play things. And sometimes you got to just go ahead and open up a book and read. Okay. Reading is fundamental. All right. It's so important. It's super important. So back to Isaiah's, and am I pronouncing your name correctly? But Isaiah's question, yes, incarcerated people are counted. But here's the trick, and we're going to talk about it. If, say, let me use a container. All right. So this container is a county. This county is in West Texas. Okay. This county, oh, y'all can't see it on TikTok. Let me hold it here. This is a county. In this county, there is a state prison. All right. This is a county too. I'm gonna figure out how to block people here in a second. But this is a county too, right? The pair of scissors. So the container's a county and the scissors are a county. Now, this pink pen is a person. Okay. This person is from Scissor County, right? This person is from Scissor County. Y'all seeing this? All right. All right, just follow along, Carl, all right, or Katie, I'm sorry, Katie Corner. So this person they reside in Scissor County, right? That's their home, right? But they commit a crime or they are convicted of committing a crime. Let's say they're innocent, but they've been convicted of a crime in Scissor County, but they're sentenced to state prison here in Cupholder County, all right? So when the census happens, say the year is 2030, and the census is happening, and they were sentenced to, let's say, 17 years, right, for that crime in Scissor County. And even though they're appealing and they're a citizen of Scissor County, and their hearings and their trials are happening in Scissor County, they are in Cupholder County. In 2030, when they've been in for 5 years, and when the census comes around, they're not counted in Scissor County, even though they got business going on in the courts in Scissor County. They're counted in Cupholder County. This makes sense? So, yes, incarcerated people are counted. Typically, Cupholder counties like Cupholder County, they're rural. So what is the benefit of having a prison for counties like Cupholder County? Well, it helps boost their what? Population. And when it boosts their population means, yes, more money. The more money, the more people, the more populace, the more funding. Federal funding is distributed based on population. It is systematic. It has to be systematic. It has to be organized. Oh my gosh, would a county build a prison? So a state may a county may campaign, hey, we have the land here, state, come build your prison here. But it makes money. So I'll give you an example. And someone from Texas helped me with this. Huntsville, Texas. Huntsville, Texas is known for two things, but one thing more than the other. Well, I'll say three things. It's known for three things, but one thing more than the other. All right. So Huntsville, Texas is north of Houston. So it's north of the Houston suburbs. So it's beyond the suburbs. It's not a part of the Houston metropolitan area. So Huntsville is north of Houston, but not in Dallas. It's like, well, okay, I'm getting somewhere. When you drive into Dallas from Houston up 45 north, you get a little sigh of relief once you make it through Huntsville, right? But Huntsville is known for three things. One is this giant statue of Sam Houston that's just in the middle of the woods along the freeway. So you're just driving. The first time you see it, it's like, what is that big old white? What the heck? So it's known for Sam Houston statue. It's known for Sam Houston State University, but it's most familiar because the state prison that is there, which also houses death row. Okay. So it's business, the culture of Huntsville, Texas, and someone tell me what county that is, but the culture there or the community there relies on the prison. That's jobs. So that's economics, that's jobs, that's restaurants near the prison, resources for those who work at the prison, right? Anytime there's a large industrial complex, any type of industrial complex, there are going to be small companies and businesses that provide, whether it's food, it might be a gas station, right? Might be a hotel. They provide what I call benefits for those people. That's just like I work at a college. Guess what's all around the college I work for? Restaurants. Because it's beneficial to them to be across the street from the college. Because if we don't pack our lunch, I generally pack my lunch, we coming over to get something to eat. All right. Walker County. Thank you, Katie. So Walker County benefits during a census, not just because of the university being there, Sam Houston State, but because of the population of the prison. Right. So yes, it is beneficial. It is very beneficial because of the funding, because the college, that population is changing because you got people dropping out. So the matriculation and the graduation rate, right? So that can vary, but they're going to keep them beds in them prisons. All right. Miss Humboldt 5, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to it. Let's see. What time is it? Okay. We got about 14 more minutes. So the census, let's get back to the census and Congress. Now we've delved out, give you some understanding of the census, some brief understanding, but let's get back to it. So when you have the, what's I gonna say? What's the word? When you have the census taken, not only are you distributing money based on population, that money that's being distributed is being distributed based on the population that is now being determined how many districts we're going to have. All right. So let's say like the 2020 census, when it was taken, the population in Texas went up, whereas the population in California declined. In many other states, their populations declined. In some states, their populations increased. So they, because of their increase, and it's about 750,000 on average, give or take, creates a district. So if you gained a district, right, that means your district map for your state has to be recalculated, must be recalculated. Okay. And the recalculation of the districts, that means we go in and we, meaning whoever is in control of your state legislature, with some influence from other stakeholders, other elected officials who go in and they lobby and they advocate, your state legislators will redistrict and redraw the maps. Whoever is in power, they're going to do it where it's advantageous to them. So they will redraw a map by sketching in a new district that may overlap into multiple counties. That may, and that's why when you look at congressional district maps, they're so oddly shaped. They look like this. There's one in Houston that literally looks like this. There's some that look like dragons or bats, right? And so the redistricting occurs when there's an increase and when there's a decrease. Okay, redistricting. And yes, I was going to ask y'all, and what do we call that? And that is called gerrymandering. All right, gerrymandering. You see, guys, we are learning here. We are learning. Y'all got the vocabulary and everything. Now, I am going to put up a banner, and I wanted to scroll across. Give me 1 second. I want you all to watch this documentary on YouTube. I'm putting it in the YouTube chat, and then I'm gonna tell y'all on TikTok. Just give me 1 second to type it. All right, so it's going across the bottom of your YouTube right now, but for those of you online, I want you to write this down because y'all still taking notes, right? So we've used some good words. We've used redistricting, we've used gerrymandering, census, right? All of these things impact voting, determining our state districts as well as our state districts for federal government, okay? I want you to watch this documentary, not for the way it's leaning per se, because it gives perspectives on both sides. It does lean more liberal than it does conservative. I will tell you that. But I want you to look at the documents. I want you to look at the numbers. The name of the documentary is called Rigged, RIGGED, the voter suppression playbook. Rigged, the voter suppression playbook. If you're just joining us, it's fine. When this ends, you can watch the playback on YouTube. The link is in my bio here on TikTok. But I want you to write in your notebooks, Rigged, the voter suppression playbook. And I want you to watch that documentary. If you're enjoying this live, and I'm sure you are, please like, follow, and share. Like on all platforms, underscore the Pretty Professor on Instagram, Pretty Petty Politics on YouTube, and of course, the Pretty Professor here on TikTok. Okay. Like, share, send flowers, send all the things. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. But yes, thank you, Jazz Rigg, the voter suppression playbook documentary. I want you to watch that. All right. I want that. That's enrichment. My homework is enrichment. It's not something that you're going to go have to write and type and all of that. It's just enrichment. I'm the teacher who come in with all the videos for you, right? So make sure you're enjoying it. Oh, I like that. The professor came in, ate, and left no crumbs. Thank you. So I do appreciate you all. Now, we're not quite done. We're almost done. We got 8 minutes left, and I'm going to use them all. So I want you to watch that documentary. But I also want to talk to you about a couple of things. And one of your classmates who is on YouTube, she brought up something about prison, and I saw someone else bring up something about the innocent. And so this is in addition to today's lecture. This is part 1 of that lecture. We will come back and finish Congress, and we will move right into Article 2, the executive. Okay. We got to start this class by teaching the Constitution itself, and then we can get into the things. While we're teaching it, we're going to look at real life examples of how it works in our lives. Okay, so today the real life examples were looking at who represents us, how they voted on, how long do they have a term for, how our districts are made up. So we've learned a heck of a lot today, but we're not done. So one of the questions was about innocent and about people in prison and how they are counted. So I want to share with you some more about that. Okay. And so it's not showing yet. I'm trying to show something. All right. So later this semester, we will have a book review. All right. So I want you all to get this book. I want you to get this book. I did a short on it earlier this month, but I want you to get this book. It's called Framed. It's by John Grisham. Many of you have heard of John Grisham. If you're on TikTok, it's scrolling across. Many of you have heard of John Grisham. John Grisham typically writes legal thrillers. I've been reading John Grisham since I was about 12 or 13. But he's only written a couple of nonfictions, and this is one of those nonfictions. He's typically a fiction writer. You've probably seen movies that he that are based off of his books, such as The Firm, one of my favorites, A Time to Kill. Damn right, I did it, and I'll do it again. Samuel L. Jackson. I don't know if it's on Libby. All right. But I want you to read this book, and we're going to read it together. I need you to purchase it, but we're going to discuss it. All right. We're going to have lives that just discuss this. And this is what I really want to do in late March. Okay. All right. This is based on true stories. It's based on people who have been wrongfully convicted. Now, my passion is justice. In your emails, for those of you who registered before 10 a.m. today, you received an email, and it included a video that I want you to watch. For those of you who registered since 10 a.m. or who will register during the playback, I will send you those same resources that have already been sent out. And that will include a documentary, or excuse me, a TED talk featuring attorney Brian Stevenson of the Equal Justice Initiative based out of Montgomery, Alabama. So in this course, I'm going to always extra credit. And it's really not extra credit, it's extra learning, like exciting, real life, oh my gosh, learning is always going to be related to the judicial system. That is my passion. I told y'all in law school, my favorite classes were civil procedures, constitutional law, evidence, and criminal law. Those are my favorites. And I incorporate that all the time. My friends call me Little Black Panther, little militant, little fight for justice. They call me Eyes on the Prize, March on Selma. Like, they have jokes, but they love it and they love me. And that is who I am, right? And so I don't hide who I am. What's in you is going to come out. And so what's in me is to fight for others. And many people are incarcerated for crimes they did not commit. They're wrongfully convicted. Some of them are wrongfully convicted and sentenced to death row, sentenced to be executed. Some have been executed and later posthumously exonerated. But there are people who are alive and with us today who have been exonerated for the convictions, from the convictions where they were wrongfully imprisoned and lost years of their lives. You will hear me speak about a gentleman named Anthony Graves. I will talk about him a lot. I'm going to see if Anthony will come on. I know his schedule is busy, but he served 18 and a half years on death row for a crime he did not commit. 18 and a half years. He was in prison on death row in Texas at a time when Texas was killing them like this, the early 2000s. Texas was, right? It's very important to me. Very important to me. So if you want to pay me, pay attention, because we are here to learn. If you want to make sure I have money in my pocket, y'all gonna like, share, follow, and be on every video, every live. Y'all gonna do that so that I can earn on both YouTube and TikTok. Both will help me. I need you to subscribe to that YouTube. I need you to share the YouTube. So after today's lecture ends, make sure you go to YouTube and you share it with, I said 3 was my favorite number, and it is one of my favorite numbers, but I need you to share that YouTube recording or this YouTube recording with about 12 or 15 people. And then those of you who watch it and after it's been shared with you, you do the same thing and make sure you subscribe, because it will help me, because this is my time, and time is the resource that we can't get back. Okay. I'm not asking you to take money out your pocket. I'm just telling you to help me put money in mine for my time. Okay. Not asking you to cash out me, PayPal me, none of that. Okay. I'm just asking you to help me earn through these platforms. Okay. I believe education should be free. So I'm not going to ask y'all to pay me. Now, if y'all come across my Cash App, I will accept the blessing, but I'm not just going to put it out there. All right. As we're preparing to end, make sure you register for the course. The link is on the YouTube. If you're on TikTok, you can get that YouTube link on my homepage. And then under the description, once you're on YouTube, it will show you the form to register. It's on my homepage. It's Pretty Petty Politics. Again, we will talk more about frame. There is a video from about 2 weeks ago where I'm talking about frame, so you can get an idea of it. All right. Make sure if you're on YouTube that you are, if you have TikTok, that you follow. Let me see what these comments are on YouTube. All right. Someone says, I work in corrections as a medical assistant on Rikers Island. We're going to talk about Rikers Island. We're going to talk about a specific case from Rikers Island when we get to the lecture on civil liberties, right? And one thing I want to leave you with, you hear a lot of people say civil liberties, civil rights, and it's violating my civil rights. And I know we've been taught this and we hear these movements and we have these organizations name these things, but I want you to know all of those fall under your constitutional rights. So just put it all under the umbrella. It's constitutional rights. Okay. This has been great. It has ironed and it has sharpened me. It has allowed me to slow down. Yes, Mo, this is on YouTube. This is on YouTube. All right. This is streamed live to YouTube. Okay. This is streamed live to YouTube. The book is called Framed. It's by John Grisham. All right. She said something. That's the other thing I didn't hear. Somebody said, Queen Tiara 444. Tell me what you're asking again. I don't know if, yes, on the Innocence Project documentary, I think they did go over Anthony's case. But we're going to talk about Anthony's case. I actually teach about it. My students actually do research on wrongful convictions and death row. So we will talk about that again. Also, what did you say we go to that helps with laws in our district again? That helps with laws in your district? Who did you say we go to that helps with laws in our district? I guess your representatives. Your representatives. Yeah. Come back to Polk County. Oh, so I will be there, Queen B. I will be there on the 5th, the 16th of February. I'm speaking for Black History Month. I will post that to my Instagram page, and I guess I can post it to TikTok too. I'll be speaking, so you're welcome to come. Just don't start nothing, so it won't be nothing. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you all. Yeah, you go to a court case. We're going to talk about a Houston case. Anthony Graves is specific to the state of Texas, but we're going to talk about a Houston case, a recent Houston case, a big old case, a big old mess that deals with all kind of stuff. Guantanamo Bay. Yes, we will touch on our territories and properties. We will talk about that. So here's another thing, since we're on Congress, because, part 2, the next lectures will continue Congress. Congress controls 2 things. I don't know if I said this. Congress, they control a lot, but I want you to know 2 big things that Congress runs, and that's the money and the land. Okay, the money and the land. The president don't determine what's our land. President don't determine it. Congress does. Congress controls national lands. All right. And money. They got the pocketbook. All right. I like those movies from the 90s. So if any of y'all seen Soul Food, Big Mama, she had all the money in the TV. Gator, when he went to his mama's house, it's like, I smoked the TV, mama. But Gator was always going back home to get money from his parents. Money. Congress controls the money. Think of your parents, probably growing up. Your parents were the Congress. They controlled the money and they controlled the land, because what went on under their roof, you had to follow their rules. All right. Okay, Queen B, I'm gonna come to your question. Did anybody have this conversation with our current president? Tara, we're not gonna be political like that now. All right. I'm just telling you how the laws work so you're aware. Okay. So I will recommend that you all, because a lot is happening congressionally. If y'all have hearts or those little graphic things, can y'all give me some? I had a goal of 44. I think I'm at 14. So if y'all can give me some of those, I would really appreciate it. national lands, the Congress controls that. So Queen Bee said, when are these classes? What is the schedule for this class weekly? So in general, this class will occur on Thursdays at 10:30, unless I have an appointment or a meeting that requires me to leave home and go to work, or if I have like a doctor's appointment. But in general, these class meetings will be at 10:30, and I will always post about it on a recording on my TikTok page, which I also simultaneously will stream to my YouTube page. Okay. So 10:30, and that's Eastern Standard Time. All right. And they will last about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Because this is the first day, I'm comfortable with going over to. We start. Thank you. I'm halfway there, y'all. Please keep going. I don't know why I set the goal so high, but you reach for the stars, right? Well, you actually are a star yourself. But anyway, I open it at 10 minutes before the start time, so you can ask any questions. It's like an office hour, so we open it up for 10 minutes before the actual class starts. But at 30 minutes after the hour, that's our hard start. And generally, we'll stop the same way. And then we'll have some Q&A. So this is the Q&A. So yes, Katie, that would be 9:30. Alexa said, what about this Gulf of America mess? Well, I mean, he can recognize it as the Gulf of America. I can recognize it as the Gulf of Tacos. I mean, like, it's a global body of water. It's really should be the Gulf of the Caribbean, considering all of the other nations that are impacted by that body of water. So instead of us focusing on the small, minute, distracting operations or things that are happening, let us focus on the things that are really impacting our day-to-day, because those are distractions. The day-to-day is to be aware of what's going on with these executive orders and seeing if they are constitutional or not, and then pressing our hired employees, our elected officials, to challenge it through legislation, or us ourselves or organizations in our communities like the ACLU, NAACP, or any other organization. It could be the church. You saw the other day where the Quakers sued. So you can either push it through the legislature or you can push it through the federal courts. That is what we're going to be focusing on, how government works in this course. So the president has every right to create an executive order through his executive powers as provided through Article 2. I have a whole video about this on TikTok. I need to upload it here to YouTube. It's where I'm wearing a green sweatshirt. You see artwork behind me. In that video, I explain it. The video from yesterday, I explain it a little further. So the president can write executive orders. They are not law, but they can have the effect of a law unless they are challenged through legislation of the Congress. Or if Congress say if it requires some money, Congress can say, no, we're not providing the money, because again, Congress controls the purse strings. If it deals with land, Congress can say no, because Congress controls the land, or Congress can draft legislation. The other thing is it can be challenged in the courts, as we've seen some of them challenged in the courts, and the courts have ordered temporary restraining orders to put a halt or a stop to it. Okay, Emily, I'm confused about state and federal representatives. Right now, we're focused only on federal. So I'll go over it again briefly. Every person has 3 members of Congress. 2 of them are U.S. senators. 1 of them is a member of the House of Representatives. In your state government, you have a state senator and you have a state rep, based on where you live. So generally, if you send me a message or if you want to tell me your city and zip code, I can look it up and I can assist you with it, determining who those people are for you in both your state and in your and in the federal government. Okay. Yes, Chuchi. Did I pronounce that right? Chukai? Because I know CHI is Kai. National lands, so they can choose to annex and such. Yes, and we will talk about that in Article 4. Y'all, we're going to go through the whole Constitution. I got y'all. So please keep sending the little heart things. I'm at 27. I need to get to 44. Please help me out. This is my first class. I won't put the goal as high next time, but please help me out. Help me get to that number. Make sure you're subscribed here on YouTube. Make sure you go to the description here on the YouTube page and click on the forms link, the Google form link, and register. That way I can send you information and resources to help you in between classes, to help keep you engaged and knowledgeable. I would really, 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 really appreciate that. If you all would do that. I want everybody, whether you're on TikTok or if you're on TikTok, I want you to make sure you subscribe to the YouTube page. That is going to be a game changer. Okay. That's going to be a game changer. As I give this information, it'll help me, be able to earn something for my time. I don't mind doing this because it's my passion, but I like money just like y'all, but I just don't feel comfortable selling this to you. I just don't. I do not feel comfortable selling information to you that is readily available and that I already have a passion about. Now, I don't mind charging speaker fees. So if you got an event coming up and you want me to come speak now, yeah, I got speaker fees. I need to fly United Airlines, generally, or Delta, depending on where I'm going. Southwest is cool too. And I'm going to have some money in my pocket, and I have a standard for my hotels, right? But that's where I will sell. But in terms of this, I don't want to charge. So please, yeah, I'm at 31. If y'all can help me get to 44 here on TikTok. Let's see. I know my sister's like, that girl's still up here on TikTok. And I am, but I'm getting off, boo, here shortly. And so it's some type of gifter. Y'all tell me what it's called. I don't even know what it's called. It just gave me a prompt to set a goal at the beginning of the live. And I guess I done set it too high. But when you set a goal, you want to achieve it. So I'm going to keep asking y'all to help me achieve it. So y'all put in the comments how you do it. It's a heart, me, Professor. Oh, okay. I don't know what that means, but I need to take a TikTok tutorial. I need to go learn. Okay. I need to go learn. So y'all help me. All right. So what questions do you have for me? We are wrapping up. The lecture is over. What questions do you have for me? And I see I done fasted and I done made it through the lecture. I was like, go get a snack. I'm like, I'm going to use discipline. But tell me, so 10 or more hearts. So y'all tell me what questions y'all have. They say touch the heart at the top of the page. All right. What questions do you have here on YouTube, on TikTok? And thank you all so much for joining. Alexa, Katie, Jimily, Courtney, T, Robert, Gilda been here since the beginning. Listen, oh, I like that. Listen, Linda. Oh, I'm at 80%, y'all. Thank you. Jennifer, Miss Humboldt 5. Thank you all so much. Quake. Thank you all so very much. Azaya, I enjoyed your question, honey. You were on it. You were all in my lesson plans. But thank you all so much. Helen, thank you to everyone who's watching this, and my family, my friends, my social media folks who are watching on my Facebook page. Thank you all so much. Miss Sunny, Helen, I already said that. But thank you. I'm just going through the names. It's easier to go through them on YouTube than here on TikTok. You all, please help me get there. I'm at 38 out of 44. Yeah, I know we can get 6 more. I know we can get 6 more. Please help me get 6 more. Please, 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 please. Also, if you have questions, go ahead and throw those in the chat so I can answer those while we're here. All right. So, so the next class is next Thursday, right? It's next Thursday. Yes, Positive Energy Real Talk. Yes, you'll be able to watch this on YouTube. If you click the YouTube link on my homepage here on TikTok, it will take you to the recordings, and you can see all my recordings that are posted there, and I will be adding more. Will this remain on your page to refer back to? Yes, that's the whole purpose of the YouTube, is so that it's a library for you to utilize. All right. Thank you, Gilda, for sending gifts on TikTok. Thank you all. All right. What else do y'all have as questions about today? Someone asked about gerrymandering. All right. So we're going to have a whole video on gerrymandering and redistricting. And that's why I gave you that resource, that video that I want you to watch. It's on YouTube, Rigged. Rigged is on YouTube. So if you're just joining YouTube or TikTok, Rigged, the voter suppression book, that is a documentary. It's narrated by Jeffrey Wright. Y'all remember him from the movie Shaft when he on white. He's stabbing himself. But Jeffrey Wright is a great actor. He is the narrator of Rigged, the voter suppression guest book. All right. Let's see. What questions do we have? All right. Any questions? All right. No questions? None? Y'all good? All right. So we have a couple of things. If you got an email, okay. Why not? A music lover, I'm gonna come back to that. You got an email. If you've registered for the class, you got an email. If you registered for 10 a.m. today, it has resources, including a TED Talk by Brian Stevenson. So watch that. Watch the voter suppression playbook and whatever else is in that email. Make sure you're reviewing it and you have it stored or bookmarked on your laptop or your iPhone or whatever type of mobile device you use. All right, so Music Lover has a question here. Why do 3/4 of the states agree on an amendment? Why not 50-50? 50-50 is not deep enough. 3/4 make it more difficult because you want to make sure this is the will of the people. You know what I mean? You want to make sure it's more the will of the nation. So 3/4 allows you that, and that's my opinion of why that is. But I could delve into that deeper. All right. Can you give your thoughts on something? Hold on, it moved. Can you give your thoughts on the gerrymandering doc? Slay the Dragon 2. I saw it a while back. Can you send me? Let me screenshot. Okay. I'll check that out, Tiffany, and I'll talk about that. Najori Johnson, this is government. You can watch the video on YouTube under Pretty Petty Politics. If you want to watch the full thing, it's recorded. So DC doesn't have a Senate. No, DC doesn't have a Senate. They have a delegate. And we're going to talk about territories in part 2 of this lecture on the Congress. Okay. DC is a territory. It's not a state. Only states have senators and U.S. representatives. DC is controlled, however, by Congress. Okay. All right. Will the course have heavily religious focus? Ask for those that are not Christians. No, it won't have a heavily religious focus, and I'm not trying to persuade you. I'm just being who I am, but I will reference it because I use the Bible as a historical context, but sometimes I make comments that relate to the Bible as examples because that's just what's in me. But this is not a school, a state-funded school, so we don't have separation of church and state in here, although I will teach about separation of church and state. But I will not over-inundate you with, I guess, religious values per se, from the perspective of those who believe and follow Jesus. I guess that's the best way to say that because I am a child of God. So I can't help what's in me is going to come out. But I do appreciate this question because it's real. It's a real inquiry. But it's just who I am. So it's not to, it's not to deter anybody. Y'all, I'm at 40 out of 44. We can get 4 more. But I appreciate this. And sometimes I'm going to refer to other faiths and I'm going to talk about the impact of laws on them, but it's not to ostracize anyone ever. And if you ever feel that way, check me. You know what I'm saying? Check me. Right? Because I do yearn and practice and pursue a very welcoming learning environment where students feel like they're safe. safety is so important to me, especially in a learning environment. So thank you, Crystal Mack, for that question. All right. Let's see. YouTube is Pretty Petty Politics. How do you register? There's a link on the YouTube page, a Google form, or you can go to my Instagram _ the pretty professor. I teach government. How do we register? I just answered that. Thank you all for writing Pretty Petty Politics in the thing. Y'all, we got one more and I hit my goal. Uh-oh, y'all, we almost there. Let's see. Any questions on YouTube? The scandal of girl. Where is Cyrus Bean? Y'all, we made our goal of 44. Yay. Thank you all so much. How can I know about laws before they're passed? You can watch C-SPAN. You can register online for like through Congress, and maybe I'll talk about that in a short, how you can follow bills through Congress. You can subscribe to get emails from various members of Congress, particularly the three that represent you, your 2 U.S. senators and your member of the House of Representatives. You can also attend town hall meetings and ask. You can trace voting records of your members of Congress. It's Pretty Petty Politics on YouTube, but if you just click the link in my bio here on TikTok, you will find it. Yep, there's a bills tracker. Yep, y'all are answering it. What does it mean to be censured? Meaning it's like a punishment. Like, we'll talk about that in the next one. Matter of fact, let me take a screenshot. Not just red and blue sides, also center. Where do we go to learn about town hall meetings? I'll teach y'all about that. I'll do some videos about how to get more engaged. Congress.gov. Thank you, Laura. I could not think of that. All right. So I think I've answered the questions, or they were answered in the chat. So ways you can get to know about what laws are happening in your community. I've lived in many places around the country, and one thing that I always do when I move to a new city, especially before I really like build community, like build relationships with people, I either go to or I watch their city council meetings, right? So watching city council meetings or attending city council meetings, you will learn so much. Same thing with school board meetings, right? So any public meetings that take place in your community, attend them virtually or in person. We have an advantage now. We can do most of these things virtually, but if you can go in person, it's even better, because I'm here to tell you some things do not make the video. Okay. But to learn about town hall meetings, what happens is as you become engaged locally, you'll begin to pick up on the culture of those who represent you in your state. And they also have town hall meetings. They also send mailers. The serious ones do. They send mailers like newsletters. They have, what's that night out where everybody turn on their porch lights in the fall? But they have those type of events. They usually have a town hall around that time. You can find out who your member of your state Senate and your state legislature are, meaning your rep, and you can subscribe on their websites to get their newsletters, which should tell you when their town halls are. And if you have one who doesn't have town halls, that's an employee you probably need to work on to fire. So you need to organize with others to find a candidate. Now that is done through political parties in general, but we can talk about that more later on in the course. When you go to register, on that link, it shows you all the topics that we're going to cover. We may not cover them in the exact order, but we will cover them. All right. Yes, thank you, county commissioners. Absolutely. You can go to your capital when your legislature is in session. Right now, Texas legislature is in session. Florida's in session. The Texas legislature only meets for 140 days every other year. So during odd years, they meet from January to 140 days later. They can reconvene for special sessions as ordered by the governor. Thank you. National Night Out. Hey, Damon. Damon, what's up? So there you go. Will you email a class schedule? I just told y'all the class schedule. Generally, it's gonna be Thursdays at 10:20. I'm gonna open it up. We're gonna start at 10:30. It will always be recorded to YouTube. Also, what was I gonna tell y'all? I got 5 minutes for real, y'all. Hard stop. Government. Girl, y'all ain't enrolled in no classes for real. I'm joking. But yes, this is government. It's federal government all day long. But I also will share on my videos that are stored here on TikTok. I almost said Blackboard. Thank you so much for the gifts. Just joined live, so I missed that. Shay, you can catch it on YouTube. Pretty Petty Politics. It's the full recording. And generally, all my things will be recorded to YouTube for you to watch, child. Because that's what I be telling my students. Did you look on Blackboard? So did you watch TikTok? Did you watch the video? So any videos leading up to lecture day, Thursday. Thursdays are lecture day. So any videos leading up to that is probably a lesson to prep you. All right. All right. Any other questions? No. All right. They have lives that show how, yes, they do. They have live streams. So most of the questions that y'all are asking about, yes, there are live streams to those meetings. And if you're able, you'll be able to go. Thank you for your subscriptions. Thank y'all for helping me reach that goal today of 44. I appreciate it. She said she about to make an ID and everything. Lord have mercy. Make sure you get me a parking space right in front of the building, right? And I want the office with the windows and 2 doors. I want a back door and a front door to my office. Since y'all creating, y'all so silly. But yeah, thank you all so much. This has been so rich. It's been as good to me as it has been to you all. Of course, we will be back here with shorts. So I'll do on YouTube, they won't be shorts, but on here, I'll generally do 10 minutes. I might do something random, like me and my niece might make a video because I want to do this skincare. I done bought that Korean skincare and I want to talk about it. It works, but it has some other stuff going on too. Do we need a book? Yes, your book is the U.S. Constitution, but I provide those resources to you. So I am Dex. I need you to register. Go to the YouTube page. Go under description. You see a link to the Google form to register. And thank you. Thank you. Skin and nails. Yes. I will send you information. So the color on my nails is put it in neutral. During the holidays, I usually do some design or red. And then in the summer, I do designs. But during the school year, it's put it in neutral because I don't always have time to go get them done. But because they're neutral, you can't tell. Now, this is fresh. But yeah, put it in neutral. Go to your shop. Get it done. Thank you so much for the skincare, the skin compliment. I get it from my mama, literally. Yeah. And I stay moisturized and I mind my business and I get my sleep. You want to be able to run away through the back door. Yep. All right. Now y'all just being silly. That is it. Thank you all for everything. Class is dismissed. Now we just hanging out here the last couple of minutes before I have to scoot on out and go to my lunch appointment. So if there are no other questions, y'all good. Class been dismissed for about 15, 20 minutes now. But thank you all for joining. Thank you for the contributions. Make sure you like, share, but like and follow and subscribe on all platforms. The Pretty Professor on Instagram, Pretty Petty Politics on YouTube, and here on TikTok, The Pretty Professor. See you next Thursday for class, unless something is up. I don't think something is up. I think it's the following Thursday I have something, but I will honestly share with you all any adjustments to the schedule. So if we're not meeting in the morning, we'll meet in the evening on Thursday. So in the evening, it'll be after 8 o'clock. Central. It'll be at 8 Central Standard Time. Okay. Found it. Open food can. Oh, I just saw a text from my sister. I know what that means. All right. So if there's nothing else, no other questions, I will put up a schedule. I will email a schedule, but generally it'd be Thursday. And if it's not going to be Thursday, on one of my shorts, it'll just tell you in the header, it'll tell you what time on Thursday. All right. And it'll always record to YouTube. I am Dex. Go to the YouTube page, Pretty Petty Politics. It's a link on TikTok. And under the description, you will see the Google form. Okay. All right. All right. Yeah, I'm getting emails. I just got a text from, we've been talking about ICE raids and the Fourth Amendment. So I'm looking at these texts as they pop up. And we will talk about that. I'll do a video about that, but we're not to the amendments yet. But if something arises where I need to talk about amendments, because y'all know I'm going to always talk about the 14th Amendment. Yeah, but it's 12 noon. So peace out. This is your goodbye. Peace out. Love you guys. Have a beautiful day.